Doctors of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing a patient wouldn't admit? I admitted a guy for chest pain. As part of the workup, I did a urine drug screen which came back positive for cocaine. After the rest of his cardiac workup was negative, I said to him, "Good news, you didn't have a heart attack. It's likely that your chest pain was caused by cocaine." His answer, "I didn't use cocaine. See, I was at a party and people had some lines of cocaine out on a table. As I was walking by, an oscillating fan blew the cocaine into my face, which is why my urine was positive. MMMHMM. Got it?" Nurse here, had a patient accuse me of shitting in her bed, and threatened to sue me for malpractice. Keynote, she never got out of her bed. Plot twist, nurse did shiz in her bed. Well, somebody had to. She actually said exactly that, as if it had to be me who had done it. Not a doctor but a nurse. Had a patient come in with a toothpick in his penis. Refused to tell me how it got in there, insisting he was picking his teeth and it fell in. Ah, the ol' head on a stick. Picks teeth after a nice naked meal. Oh whoops, I just dropped a toothpick into my open urethra, like dropping a pencil into a solo cup. Being pregnant and also a virgin. People actually believe women can get inseminated in a public pool or after their parents had sex in the jacuzzi and the girl uses the jacuzzi and is inseminated by the father. If you believed your daughter could get pregnant if she went in the hot tub after you had sex in it, why would you have sex in the hot tub? Seems like an unnecessary risk. It's a plausible excuse for the results of a deeply horrible paternity test. See, then as a result it spreads as an urban myth. This one is sad, from my old roommate. Girl had a very large lump on her breast that she didn't tell the doctors about. She actually went to the hospital for migraines, saying they were getting increasingly bad. When they found the lump, they asked why she didn't say she had that. She said she knew it was going to kill her eventually, but she just wanted to get rid of the migraines because they giving her a lot of pain in her last months. Did she live? I have no clue. Almost definitely died though, the lump was large enough that it was visible. They were almost 60 years old and taking a drug to make them lactate so their husband could pump them as it would help their fibromyalgia. X200B. Took a while for them to admit why they were taking it. I've thought about this for a bit and still don't understand. Why were they doing this? My guess would be a lactation fetish, or they have read too many mommy blogs about the miracle of breast milk and are actually trying to treat medical conditions with it. That they don't know how to read. I've been taught the trick of handing a paper upside down to them to see if they can read. It's good to know if they don't, so you can make extra sure they have a full understanding of their instructions instead of saying to read the details on the sheet. I've accompanied a blind friend to medical appointments a few times, and doctors are always giving her instructions in writing without reading the material to her. Wow. That's just poor care. Do they also print it quite large for her to read? I work with several blind points. I've asked my company to pay for Braille versions of our material, for those that could use it. I love my company because if it's best for the OR, they agree to it. Once had a woman come in for a possible yeast infection. On exam she had a glass bottle stuck in her vaginal filled with urine. Totally wouldn't admit it was hers or explain how it got there even after we removed it. Just kept saying, "I think this is all a joke and you put it up there." Yeah. She was totally trying to cheat a drug test. Definitely. The bottle had an overly complicated apparatus which allowed her to discreetly trigger the urine to come out, which made it all the more weird. She pretended we hadn't just pulled CIA tech out of her cooch. When was their last meal? They think they can fool their PET scan, end up losing money, time, and over-irradiated. One of my lecturers told us a story of when he worked in ed. There was a man who refused to acknowledge or tell them how a jar got stuck in his rectum. They were taking him to the OR as it has created a vacuum seal and couldn't be removed without shattering, but realized his BSL, blood sugar level, was off the charts. Really high. They were considering postponing the surgery to work out WTF was going on. When he ended up talking, he told them the jar was full of honey before it got lodged, and was rapidly absorbed by the rectum, causing the insane levels. What? I volunteer at an ER. Prisoner shoved a ballpoint pen up his urethra to get out of being stabbed, IIRC. Insisted he had no idea how it got there. We spent hours deliberating how to get it out, and he just reaches down, still in his handcuffs, and pulls it out himself. Prison nurse here. We see this frequently. Saw one guy who actually got stabbed and he was so oddly relaxed about the whole thing. Making jokes, normal BP, heart rate only like 80. Prison must be insane. Have you seen the movie Chopper? Hilarious scene when his friend in prison stabs him, several times, and Chopper's just like, mate, what'd ya do that for? It's well known in the ER that a patient with something stuck up his/her/ etc. but has no idea how it got there. Or they fell on it. The weirdest thing I saw was a patient who came into the ED with a shampoo bottle up his butt. So, what brings you into the emergency room tonight? I shoved a shampoo bottle up my butt, now it's stuck there. No shame. I mean, you kinda gotta respect that level of honesty. Until you remove it and find out it was conditioner, then the guy runs out screaming psych. Had a patient refuse to admit he swallowed a pen, even though an X-ray showed the pen in his small bowel and we took the pen out during an emergency surgery. That's not mine. I'm holding it for a friend. Other than all the random things that end up in rectums accidentally. Drunk electrician with the longest drill bit I've ever seen sticking through both legs and impaling his scrotum in between like a really gross kebab. He was so drunk he thought he broke his hip, denied owning any drill bits or for that matter having been drinking. Most common are the numerous drug/tox screens we do that come back positive for something and everyone is shocked, borderline offended it got into their system. You weren't breathing. We gave you Narcan. You started breathing again, woke up, and then deny you used a narcotic. Yeah, alright. There was a woman sent in by her family doctor for urinating some blood. We put a camera into her bladder with her awake, looking to exclude a tumor. We found her bladder full of citrus seeds/pits. So many of them. When asked why she put them there, she said, well, I eat a lot of fruit and wouldn't accept any responsibility for them being there. Wait, what? How the fudge did she get them all the way up there? The going theory was she put a straw in and then pushed them down that. We thought just pushing them in one at a time would be a bit scratchy. But we don't know, she never admitted doing it. All the symptoms of pregnancy plus 2 positive pregnancy tests. There's 0% chance I can be pregnant. I'm not married. To be fair, the patient's mother was there and this was in a very conservative country. She ended up admitting she was pregnant when we separated her from the mom. Isn't it pretty typical to separate minors and parents when the doctor is about to ask about sexual activity? I remember when I was 15 to 16, my mom was sent out of the room so the doctor could ask if I was sexually active. This was during a medical mission trip to Guatemala. No real rules like that out there. I gave a very abbreviated view of the encounter, but the mother was very supportive throughout the appointment, so the attending thought it would be useful to have her there. I can literally smell the smoke on your clothes and breath, see the nicotine stains on your fingers, and you're trying to tell me you quit smoking 10 years ago. Not a doctor but my husband. He had a 17-year-old girl with abdominal pains come into the ER with her mom, turns out she's in full-blown labor. Assures them she can't be pregnant, she's a virgin. The baby is literally crowning right there in ER, no maternity ward in their hospital and she was in advanced labor when she arrived, and she still insists she's a virgin. Edit. Poor wording, my husband was the doctor, not the 17-year-old girl. Ha, my mother is a nurse and told me about the time some lady came in for abdominal pains as well. Yep, she was pregnant and gave birth, and as soon as the baby was out she screamed, "It's not mine." Mom responded with, "It didn't come out of me." How the remote control to a Zenith television wound up in the rectum of a 54-year-old father of two. They stopped making Zenith television sets years ago. From a medical perspective, why do you still own this remote? Didn't mind losing it? And that P-Spot O was the zenith of his sex life. I see what you did there, Cap.